The Supreme Court appearing open to granting some level of immunity to protect former President Trump from prosecution in his civil fraud trial and the so-called hush money case. Trump praising the nation's highest court yesterday. Watch.
I think it was made clear, I hope it was made clear, that a president has to have immunity, or you don't have a president, or at most you can say it would be a ceremonial president. That's not what the founders had in mind, and the justices were on their game. Presidential immunity is imperative, or you practically won't have a country anymore.
This, of course, on the heels of the initial arguments we heard yesterday, the SCOTUS warning that the Supreme Court is seeing a, quote, dangerous precedent in Trump's case if presidents can prosecute their political rivals.
The president may be criminally prosecuted by a bitter political opponent. Will that not lead us into a cycle that destabilizes the functioning of our country? We can look around the world and find countries where we have seen this process, where the loser gets thrown in jail.
I'm trying to understand what the disincentive is from turning the Oval Office into, the seat of criminal activity in this country. Once we say, no criminal liability, Mr. President, you can do whatever you want.
I am concerned about future uses of the criminal law to target political opponents based on accusations about their motives.
This is all the reasons behind so many people say we are now in a banana republic with a sitting president's DOJ prosecuting a former president right now in plain sight. Joining me right now with reaction is Louisiana Congressman. He is House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Mr. Leader, Congressman, great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Give us your reaction.
Well, good morning. It's great to be with you, Maria. And what you're seeing is the Supreme Court have to confront what Joe Biden caused by weaponizing the federal government against his political opponents, here in this case, Donald Trump. Everybody in America sees this case for what it is. It's Donald Trump going after his political opponents, using every lever of the justice system he can. Supreme Court does not want that to become the norm. I mean, this is what you see in banana republics. They cited banana republics for a reason. You know, this is what happens. The political opponent runs and then ultimately gets thrown in jail. Look at Russia. They kill their political opponents, for goodness sake. You know, do you really want a situation where, the government then goes after and targets? If Donald Trump's name was anything else, if he never ran for president, everybody in America knows he would not be on trial in New York. There is no crime. The bank got their money. Everybody, everything in this case is all trumped up by people who literally said, I'm running for office to go after Donald Trump, not to put criminals in jail. They let the criminals out of jail, Maria, in New York, as you know too well. They literally let the criminals run free while they say, we're going to go find something. Even if we don't find something on Donald Trump, we're going to tie him up in the courts so he can't run for president. That is the definition of political interference. That happens in banana republics. It should not be allowed in the United States.
Okay, so just a minute ago, you said Donald Trump, but you're referring to Joe Biden prosecuting his...
Well, what Joe Biden's doing going after Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. President Biden headed to New York City today, but he's skipping any of these universities that are seeing massive chaos. He's not going to go to Columbia University, even though he's in New York City, in the face of anti-Israel protests erupting across college campuses nationwide. Instead, he's going to be in New York to speak with Howard Stern for a Big Apple radio interview. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson responding to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's criticism of his visit to Columbia on the Brian Kilmeade show yesterday. Watch this.
It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd for her to say that. It's incredible that us going there to meet with and speak out on behalf of Jewish students' safety could be seen as divisive in any way. This is exactly the problem. If these universities would be held accountable and protect their students on campus, we wouldn't need to be there.
Your reaction, Congressman?
Well, first of all, I'm glad Speaker Johnson actually went there on Wednesday and highlighted this problem. I think most people in America are disgusted by what they're seeing on these campuses. And it started, by the way, they brew their own hatred. A lot of these professors are teaching the hatred in the classroom. They don't make their Jewish students feel safe. I mean, we saw it. We had hearings on Capitol Hill where we brought Jewish students in who said they flat out are being targeted, harassed in the school, in the classroom. And the schools aren't protecting them. A lot of these Ivy League schools that charge $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year. You wonder why some of these students get tagged with all the student loan debt because they're not even allowed to get an education. They get saddled with the student loans, and then they can't get a good job. I mean, frankly, the school should be on the hook for some of that. But it shows you what the school's priorities are. They will not protect their Jewish students. The anti-Semitism is allowed. It's growing. People like Ilhan Omar encourage that. We're seeing, and that's where the Democrat Party has shifted to the far socialist left, where anti-Semitism is the norm, and bullying and threatening and now harassment against Jewish students for their faith is allowed. That's not America. It's surely not something we should tolerate.
Congressman, you were one of the 15 lawmakers directly involved in shaping and passing the House's recent TikTok bill. The New York Times interviewing you, noting that you and your colleagues have been privately working on this for over a year. Some aides nicknaming the bill Thunder Run. Congressman, walk us through the process of putting the bill together and where we go from here. We just spoke with Jordan Zimmerman, an advertising executive who went through this dilemma that companies have right now in the face of you want to reach 170 million users on TikTok. The numbers are extraordinary. Half of all America, really, when you look at the numbers. But at the same time, the Communist Party is spying on them, that this is a national security threat. Companies are getting to the realization that the CCP is stealing their data and throwing propaganda at them, even as these companies try to advertise on TikTok. Tell us where this process goes now.
Well, we knew at the very beginning that this would be going into the courts. So this process will go into the courts first before it ultimately is upheld, and then divestiture will happen, Maria. But we had to draw up a bill that we knew would withstand legal muster, and we had to build the right coalition in Congress, Republicans and Democrats who wanted to confront this problem. As you pointed out, it's a major national security threat. The data of most Americans, and look, I talk to young kids about this bill because TikTok's very popular, especially amongst young kids, and people thought that was going to ultimately defeat our bill because young kids would love the application and they would defend it. And I would say, how many of you know how much of your data is at risk, and actually that the Chinese Communist Party has the ability to get access to it? And no hands go up. Nobody knows that. And then you talk about the threats to their data, and I've seen classified briefings, I've seen public briefings of what kind of data of yours is at risk if you're on TikTok. And again, 170 million Americans. And people are alarmed by it. And then you say, look, we're not getting rid of the application. All we're doing is saying that they would have to divest and sell to an American company so that no longer would the Chinese Communist Party have access to your data. And when you explain that, people love the bill. People who use TikTok love the bill. And so I think what you're going to see is once the legal process is exhausted and this new law is upheld, then you're going to see TikTok go sell. ByteDance will sell to an American company. They're going to make a lot of money, by the way, Maria, too. And then all the disinformation and lies that they've been spreading about this bill will be over. And then Americans who are using it will still be able to use it, but their data won't be at risk like it is today.
Well, Congressman, how are we supposed to believe that, TikTok is the bad guy when, in fact, President Biden and the Democrats are using TikTok? They're on TikTok right now. I mean, shouldn't this tone be set from the top? If he is admitting that this is a national security threat, why is he doing TikTok videos, the president?
Well, that's the duplicity of this president. They say one thing and they do another all the time. They don't want the laws to apply to them. The law will apply to them like everybody else. But at the end of the day, if you had the right kind of leadership, our country wouldn't be in the problems, have the problems it has today on so many fronts, economic problems, world being on fire, all the things that you're seeing in America, the open border. It's because of a lack of leadership at the top from Joe Biden. That's why the voters, I think, are going to have a very loud say on November 5th.
Okay, we will leave it there. Mr. Leader, Congressman, great to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
Hey, great being with you. Thanks, Maria.
All right, Steve Scalise joining us this morning.